We're going through a series that we've titled Signpost to the Cross. We've just been going into the Old Testament looking at these great moments where God was pointing toward Jesus, which is huge. Today, I was just going to cover Abraham. I don't get to do it as large as I want. And Jeff, be ready. I'm just going to blitz right past a few things here real quick, all right? I want to go to Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Genesis 12, verse 1. This is our introduction to a man by the name of Abram, who will later become Abraham, all right? Abram means father or exalted father. Abram means exalted father. What a terrible name to have for 75 years. That's how old he is. The reason it's a terrible name is because he had no kids. I mean, just how sad. He wanted kids. He and his wife didn't have any. And here he is walking around with this name, Exalted Father. I mean, his extended family members and stuff like that must have made fun of him. Oh, Exalted Father he is, and no kids. So God changes his name to Abraham. Abraham, guess what that means? Father of multitudes. And he still doesn't have any kids. He won't have any kids for another 25 years. He'll be 100 years old. His wife will be 90 when they have their first child. You heard me correctly, 100 years old. There's still some hope for some of you in here. And God comes to this man and he says, guess what? I'm moving you. I'm going to move you away from your father's household, moving you away from your past. Oh my goodness, some of you really needed to hear this verse this morning. For a whole bunch of us, we were raised in homes that were a blessing. And we should be thankful for that. But in every service, there's always someone who wasn't raised in a home where the parents were godly or wise or appropriate. And in just about every service, I've had a woman who was raised with someone who committed unspeakable crimes against her from the family. And you need to know that in this verse, Abraham didn't have this great family in the past. God was going to take him away from all of that. That was in the past. God was moving him to something better, something bigger. Once in a while we hear the phrase, I'm turning a page in my life, or I'm starting a new chapter in my life. Have you heard terminology like that? When you are connected to Jesus Christ, God gives you not a new chapter, not a turning of a page. He gives you an all-new book. And for some of us in this room, we needed to be reminded that God moves us past our past. My story is not over yet. There is still more to be done. Verse 2 then. This is where God starts to make this promise to Abraham. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. Now there's a lot going on there. He says, I'll make you a great nation before he even has a child. But guess what happens? Does God keep that promise? Abraham and Sarah will have a child. That child will grow up and have 2 children. One of those children will grow up and have 12 children. Those 12 will become hundreds, and then those hundreds will become thousands. Those thousands will become millions and millions, and it grows into what we know today as the nation of Israel. Does God make his descendants like that great? He does. And he does make him into a great nation. He says, and I will bless you. Abraham was blessed. He was blessed financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually. He had all the blessings of God. And then it says, I'll make your name great. Now, you're going to participate here for a moment, and I want you to be honest with me. How many of you know the name Abraham? Raise your hand. Look at this. Every service, all these hands have gone up. We know the name of Abraham. His name did become great. In fact, the name of Abraham is associated with 3 major religions in our world. 3 different religions that all trace their heritage back to Abraham. The Jewish religion, the Muslim religion, and the Christian religion. Now the Muslim religion has changed a lot of that story, but it's those 3 all go back to Abraham. Later on, God will even identify himself as, guess what? When he's trying to introduce himself, he'll say, I am the God of Abraham. Does Abraham become a great name? It becomes an amazing name. But here's what I needed to see this week as I was getting prepared And I knew I'd be speaking on Pandemic Sunday, you know. I needed to see this verse. 3 times God says, I will. I will. I will. I will. And then you will. Do you see it? Before any of us can become a blessing during this time, you're going to have to slow way down and allow God to do a few things inside you first. And the good news is he has already been working at this. He has already been preparing you. He's already been making this time for us. This is our time. A time such as now is our opportunity for you to do something very impactful in people's lives. What? We'll talk about that in just a moment. Well, I told you that there's been these little signposts. Here's the signpost. It follows then in this blessing, verse 3, in these promises. I will bless those who bless you. Whoever curses you, I will curse. Now here comes the pointing to Jesus. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. Now that's the promise to Abraham. But I need you to underline the word all. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. How does that point to Jesus? Because way down the line of Abraham's descendants, guess who shows up? Jesus Christ shows up. Jesus' genealogy traces all the way back to Abraham. Without Abraham, without Abraham in this promise, we would have no church. Without Abraham in this promise, we would have no Bible. Without Abraham in this promise, we would have no Jesus. It is through Abraham and this promise that God makes to him, way down the road, thousands of years later, he brings Jesus into this world. This is how God blesses the entire world through Abraham, is to bring Jesus through this. And is Jesus a blessing to the entire world? Oh, you better believe he is. In Revelation chapter 5, verse 9, because Jesus was slain, he redeemed to God by his blood persons of every tribe and persons of every language and persons of every people and persons of every nation. This is what God has been doing through Jesus from the beginning. It's been his plan. And so to close this out, you and I need Jesus, period. When you go to put a puzzle together, what do? Don't you always put the border together first? That's what most of us do. You know, some young people are looking at me going, puzzles? What are puzzles? You know, it's not something on your phone. You know, it's a puzzle, and there's pieces. And we almost always put the border together first. Because once we have the border together, then we can kind of see how the pieces fall into place. We can see how the barn goes together and how the tree with the little swing under it goes together. And then the sky, the harder part, and those pieces start falling together. When I allowed Jesus to become the border of my life, when I accepted Jesus and said, you be the framework of my life, do you know what happened? Some of the pieces of my life slowly started coming together. They're not all together yet. My puzzle is far from finished. But my life pieces have slowly been coming into place and locking into place to where I can start to see the big picture now. I can see what God has been doing from a long, long time ago. One day, we're going to look back on this whole pandemic thing, and we will see how God's been working. Today, though, we have to be people of faith. People of faith, hope, and love. What can you do today? Here's what I'm asking our church to start doing. Number 1, pray. I need you to be praying for people. I need you to be praying for the hurting. I need you to be praying, asking God to back this virus up. To get control of this thing quick and back this thing up, because it's affecting way too many people's lives. And it's got people afraid, scared. And we need to be praying that God stops this virus. He has the power to do it. The second thing I need you to do is I need you to, just follow me for a moment. I need you to check in on someone. I need you to just cross over today to your neighbor and just say, how you doing? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Just shock a neighbor today and just go over and say, do you need anything? That chances are good they got everything they need. They'll say no, but that impact of that moment will be huge. And when they start talking about this mess, boy, this is a mess. You'll have a chance to insert a faith statement there. Yeah, I'm so glad I had church this morning. I'm so glad that I have God in my life. Boy, if I didn't have God, I don't know what I'd do through this mess. There's some way to insert a faith statement. But would you just check on someone? I called my mom yesterday. I just called my mom. How you doing? You doing okay? And I was surprised. She was really quite nervous, quite intimidated by all of this. Not sure what she was going to do. And just talking to her, and I could sense she was calming down. There was a lot of peace coming from all of that. I'm 2 states away from my mom. She lives in Ohio. But there was something amazing that it just brought a lot of peace. Today, I'm going to go over to my neighbors. I'm going to do exactly what I'm asking you to do. You guys doing okay? Do you need anything? Just to crack open that door a little bit. I'm asking you to do the same thing. Someone just came to your mind as I was talking, I'll bet. This is our church's chance. This is our greatest opportunity to be hope, faith, and love for these people.